How are we? How are we? Good morning everyone. Welcome back to another Deadline stream. It is Game Week 20. We are officially halfway through the season. Crazy thing to be saying, but Game Week 20 is here. Half of the FPL season is done, and it is all absolute chaos as much as we'd ever expect it to be, I suppose. I suppose it's about normal based on what we've had before. But good to see you all. Happy Saturday morning. I hope you're all doing well. Let's do the usual round of hellos before we dive in and talk about the fact that Gabriel is in my team. And we'll talk about any other potential transfers I'm looking to make this morning. We'll talk about a little bit of Declan Rice stuff and yeah, lots to talk about. So, good morning to Ewan. Good morning to No Sensi. Good morning to Amy. Hello to Ian. Hello to Amor. Hello to Julius. Hello to Chris. We've got FPL Robin. Hello to all the members and moderators in this morning. Thank you all very much for your support. Hello, Jordan, Fiona, as well in the chat, and to everyone else. Mr. Highbury, the Plug Society, Zephy, Nick, Adam, Jan, FPL Yusuf, Sven, Stephen, Tom, Thomas, Com, Gamer, FPL Thomas, Carpet Cleaning, Jerome, Vas, Majed, Luke, Chef, Azam, Zelp, Ninja, God, James, LT, My Sixtus, Rockstar, Lauren, Sap, Lewis, Bowl, and Matt. Hello, and to everyone else as well. Anyone in, good morning to you all. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. So yes, I confirmed one transfer last night. So effectively, the plan was always to do Timber to Gabriel and potentially do Van Dijk to Tarkowski. Van Dijk and Tarkowski were not going to change in price, so I didn't have to make that transfer. Slightly annoying because that's actually the transfer that I wanted to do first, but because of the Gabriel price rise, I was actually more forced into doing the other one, which is slightly annoying, but it's not the end of the world. But it was always around Declan Rice. And then there was reports last night, quite late, that apparently Rice has travelled with the squad to Bournemouth. Now, he also was with the squad before the game on Tuesday, which means he doesn't definitely play, but it's still somewhat of a positive for them that he's gone, right? Still better than him not going. So it was still some sort of positive. So as a result, I went through with the original plan of Timber to Gabriel. Now, I still think that it's weird. The short term, I think this is fine. I think the long term, best triple Arsenal will have Timber back in it, but I just didn't have a way to do it without taking quite a lot of hits for things that I didn't particularly want to do. So that's what we went with. I'm still looking at Van Dijk to Tarkowski for a hit. As I've said in my videos this week, it's definitely not worth a hit. It's definitely not worth a hit, but it sets me up better for the future. It's effectively buying a transfer. I'm basically going, okay, I want an extra transfer in the future. Here's 4 points now, which is basically it. Because next week, I feel like I have to do a defensive transfer, right? Dorgu's got Burnley. Gabriel, I play. I could play Richards at home to Villa, I suppose, but we don't even know if he's going to be okay. And I can't play Van Dijk. He's away at Arsenal now. He's quite good in Game Week 22, Van Dijk, but outside of that, the fixtures coming up for him aren't great. So it's just whether I want to hold him for that Burnley game. But if Richards is not going to be back for Aston Villa, then I have to make a defensive transfer because Anderson, I mean, he has Chelsea at home. Like, I could play Anderson at the end of the day, but Tarkowski has Wolves at home that day. And I just know that the rotation between them looks really good. So that's the transfer I've got to decide on this morning. And yeah, we'll talk about that and we'll talk about all of your questions. Happy New Year to everyone in the chat. I hope you are doing well. Hope you have had a lovely festive period. I hope you had a nice New Year's, and I hope your 2026 has started off well enough for you all. I hope you're all doing good. Any update on Rice? So apparently he travelled. He was spotted at the hotel in Bournemouth last night. Whether that means he definitely plays or not, we don't know. But yeah, he's travelled apparently with the squad. I did have a nice New Year's, thank you. I did. Do I think Rice will start? If I had to guess, I'd say probably not, but it's the fact that he's travelled makes it possible. And when he's fit and available, he will just play. Apparently he was really close to playing on Tuesday. That's what the other report that last night said. He's travelled. He was really close, pushing to play against Aston Villa, but didn't quite make it, which means there's got to be every chance that he's in and around being able to play today. If Rice comes on for the last 10, it's bad. Yep, it would be very annoying. The only suppose positive for me is my first sub is Anderson, who is not that great this week anyway. So if Anderson's not that great, I think I'm probably just happy to play Rice. I'm not going to bench Rice for Anderson. Now, I could make a transfer to sell Rice, but I'm pretty committed the fact that I'm not going to do that now. I'm pretty committed that that's not what's going to happen now. People saying, don't be reactionary. Why have you sold Timber? So the reason I sold Timber is actually his returns have not been actually that great for the season, apart from like in game week 2. I know he got 9 points last week, but apart from that, the returns haven't been fantastic. I also just want Gabriel. I just know that Gabriel is the best defender in the game at the moment, and he has been. The fact that he's the highest scoring defender and he's missed like 5 matches just highlights how good he was. So I definitely wanted Gabriel going forward. And yeah, the only way for me to do it without taking like a -8 was to sell Timber. So yeah, that's where we're at with it. I mean, if he's travelled, he'll start. I mean, I'm hoping that's the case, but he could also just not feature at all, but just be with the squad still. Anything's possible, it feels like, with Rice this week. But the fact that he's travelled feels like there's enough grounds for me to probably hold on to him. Yeah. Anish is saying you've got 1 free transfer with nothing in the bank. You've got Keane, Rice, and O'Reilly. Fortunately, got in Gabriel last week. Anderson, Lacroix on the bench. What to do? I think that's actually fine. Keane's a really difficult one. The press conference said that he has a chance of playing. If you've got Keane, you just keep him and play him, I think. Unless you've got a luxury transfer to go to either Gabriel or Tarkowski, in which case I would just keep and play Keane. O'Reilly, I think, probably also starts. There was no mention of him in the press conference. It looks like it was just a tactical sub. Now, maybe he wants to go with Gvardiol at left back, but I don't see it personally, because who's he going to play at centre back? Ake again. Ake's not playing twice in 3 days. That's definitely not happening. And then if either of them miss out, you've got Anderson and Lacroix on the bench. So unless you have the money to go from Michael Keane to Tarkowski, which I think... unless you've got money to go from Keane to Tarkowski, then I probably would just keep Keane. Or Keane to Gabriel, of course. Play O'Reilly or Semenyo, probably Semenyo. Raya and Virgil van Dijk to Verbruggen and Gabriel from -4. There's lots of people considering selling Raya, and I have made an absolute mess of a lot of my transfers recently, going early, etc., etc. But I think selling Raya was probably one of the ones that I was happy to do. Now, would I do it for a hit? Verbruggen and Gabriel for Raya and Van Dijk? Probably not. Probably not. Now you've missed the price rises over the past couple of days. I probably wouldn't do it. So no. Pope and Virgil van Dijk to Verbruggen and Gabriel. Two free transfers. I need a cash for Gabriel. Pope and Van Dijk to Verbruggen and Gabriel. I don't mind. Selling Pope now feels like a weird time to do it. Or you could do Szoboszlai to Potts and go 4-4-2. I wouldn't want Potts and like a Mark Guiu. I think that really weakens your structure. So, yeah, if you're going to do it, I'd do the Pope and Virgil van Dijk move. I don't love selling Pope, though. The next 4 looks pretty good for Newcastle. Yeah. Minter to Rodgers for a hit. I think Minter will probably be in the squad. Will he start or not? I don't know. It makes it difficult to sell him for a hit, so probably not. Is Watkins a good choice? I don't think his minutes are reliable enough. I think he'll probably keep starting, but it's a lot of money to spend on someone who doesn't feel nailed at the moment, which I don't particularly love. So I probably wouldn't buy Watkins. I'd rather Rodgers, just safety of minutes. But I don't think Watkins is the worst differential, though. Would I risk Minter if I had him? Probably, yes, probably. I wouldn't be selling him for a hit, I don't think. Rice to Trossard. It's not the worst, actually. Trossard's been pretty good. But with Gabriel back, I do just think set pieces become more important to Arsenal again. So I quite like Rice long term. Sorry. O'Reilly and Rice to Gabriel and Paqueta. We don't actually know if Paqueta is available or not. He wasn't mentioned in the press conference, so we're guessing that he's all right, but we don't actually know. But I don't mind those transfers if you want to take the gamble on it. Right, I need to... Sorry. We're back. Any more changes today? I might do Van Dijk to Tarkowski for a hit. And as I've said, I don't think it's worth a hit this week. But if Van Dijk, if Tarkowski was to even outscore Van Dijk by 1 point, I would take that as a bit of a win. Because I think I'm going to have to do a transfer next week. I'm going to have to take a hit at some point, I imagine. And it just gets in the player that I want long term. Like those long term Everton fixtures look great. And I don't particularly want Van Dijk anymore. The fact that Van Dijk kept a clean sheet against Leeds does make it a little bit more difficult. Although they definitely couldn't... Yeah, they definitely could have conceded there. You played your wild card. I think if you're playing your wild card this week, it's not the worst because there are a lot of issues. I would just really think about depth. Like, I would be looking to play even like a 3-4-3 because the dead forward spot, like a Mark Guiu, is not great. Now, you could go for Mane at Wolves as an example because he at least plays, whereas some of the others like Mark Guiu, like Barnes, like Krupi Jr. are not even getting on the pitch at the moment. So if you're on wildcard, I would just really think about having depth and keeping depth long term. Any news on O'Reilly? We just expect it to have been a tactical sub, so we think he's done all right. I don't get why you'd sell Timber when you've got flagged players that you need to deal with. So I'm hoping that I won't have flagged players to deal with for very much longer. Because if Rice ends up playing, then I technically don't have a flagged player in my starting 11. Richards is expected back by the time I need him in game week 22, which is still 2 weeks away. So we're expecting Richards back by the time I need to play him. And then it's just Rice. And to have done Rice to Gabriel, it would have required too much surgery. And the defender I probably would have looked to sell was Dorgu. So, yeah. I completely get that I've moved around a lot of Arsenal players over the past few weeks and it's not been ideal, but yeah, that's just where unfortunately it's at. Unfortunately, it's where we've landed. Would I do Keane to Tarkowski for a hit? No, I don't think so. I mean, part of me would say, well, just take, if you don't have any cover on the bench, I might consider it for a hit because it just allows you to set your team up better long term and you have the safety of minutes this week, but I'm not sure I'd be doing it for a hit, no. But would I? Well, is it just better for your team long term? If you're, yeah, I would consider it, but I think Keane will probably play. Is it crazy to remove Chalobah for Gabriel? I think if I'd held Chalobah this long, I'd be keeping him for the upcoming fixtures that Chelsea have got from next week. But if Chalobah is your only route to Gabriel, then yes, Gabriel is better than Chalobah. Where is Semenyo on my benching ranking? That's probably quite a good question. Let me get it up and we'll take a look. Where would I put him? I'd put him quite high up the top. Like, I'd probably... Yeah. I would probably just start him, I think, if I'd got him. I think. You've done Richards to Tarkowski, saved some transfers. You've blown 5 since we've got them. Yeah, I mean, that's the same. And that's part of the reason considering doing the hit, which I know is not a worthwhile hit, but it just allows me to potentially roll at least some transfers over the next couple of weeks. It also still leaves me money in the bank to do Cunha to Bruno when he comes back, which is expected in game week 22. Now, the thing with the Cunha to Bruno transfer is in game week 22, Bruno and Cunha both play City and then Arsenal, which is not the best time to buy Bruno. But the issue is if you're selling Cunha to Bruno, you've still got the same fixture. Like Cunha has City and Arsenal and Bruno has City and Arsenal. So it's not like you're gaining a transfer, you're gaining fixtures by not doing it or by doing it. So what you could do is do Cunha to someone else that you want long term, like Cunha to Rodgers, get Rodgers for those 2 games and then sell someone else back to Bruno. And then you don't own a Man United midfielder for those 2 games. But yeah, I think it will probably just be Cunha straight back to Bruno for me. I'm also looking at an Anderson replacement. I'm looking at an Ekitike replacement. I'm fine with Verbruggen. Once I do Van Dijk to Tarkowski, I'm pretty happy with my defense. Saka, Rice. Saka, Rice, I'm pretty happy with once Bruno's back in. I then feels like Anderson, Ekitike, Foden are the ones I'm maybe less happy with. Why not Dorgu to Tarkowski? I don't have the money for that. And yeah, basically, it's a value thing. Dorgu's like 4 million, whereas Van Dijk's almost 6. Van Dijk's just not worth the money though. Like Liverpool look all over the place. They feel like a team that can only do one thing a match at the moment, either attack or defend, and you never know which of them you're going to get. And as an owner of Ekitike, it seems to be like there's a lot of defending going on at the moment. But Anderson is higher than Rodgers on expected points. I can't imagine that. I mean, Anderson will be like maybe just a 4-pointer again, which is fine, right? And this is the thing with the cheap mids. You can have someone like an Anderson who gets 4 points every week, or you can have someone like a Harry Wilson who gets 16 and then gets some blanks after that. So there's two sides of having a cheap midfielder. I, of course, would have rather have had Harry Wilson's points for all of those games. Yeah. Yeah. Wilson hasn't looked great last couple of games. What do I think he can do versus Liverpool? I think he's a fine start this week. I don't mind Harry Wilson against Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool are particularly great still. So I wouldn't mind Harry Wilson. I am looking at Tavernier as a potential replacement for Anderson, and it might be similar if you've got Harry Wilson. I think the question with Bournemouth is what they look like without Semenyo. I mean, he's got 4 goals, 2 assists in 19, which isn't great. But from game week 21 onwards, the fixtures for Bournemouth are pretty good. He's second in line for penalties behind Kluivert, and there's a possibility that he becomes slightly more focal once Semenyo leaves. Maybe he ends up playing in Semenyo's position or on one of the wings rather than in the centre, which he's done a little bit recently. Spurs, Brighton, Liverpool, Wolves, Villa, Everton, West Ham, Sunderland, Brentford, Burnley could be a potential replacement for Harry Wilson if you've got him. One to have a look at. What about Voltemada? Does he start? Yes, I think he does. I would be a little bit concerned about him starting midweek again, but I expect him to come back in for this game. And it looks like they might just rotate between him and between Wissa and Voltemada. Do I think Krupi will play when Semenyo goes? Probably not. I don't think it's a like-for-like swap. They need a wide player. And Krupi doesn't fit the profile of what Semenyo offers, really. Semenyo can't even... Krupi can't even get on the pitch at the moment. No. Yeah, I know the data suggests that Villa are not very good, but they're still performing at a pretty high level apart from the game against Arsenal, I think. Minter to Bruno Guimaraes for a -4. Take a chance on Minter starting. So, I like Bruno Guimaraes, but I also think that if he hadn't have scored that goal at midweek that Dubravka just gifted to him, people wouldn't be piling in there this week. Like, he wouldn't be as high on people's radars and people's priority buys if he hadn't have scored the game that he scored, the goal that he scored midweek. So I'm a little bit cautious of just going straight back to Bruno Guimaraes, I think. Would I start Rice or Dorgu? I'd probably start Rice. I'm not certain we'll get much from Dorgu. He might get an attack in return, but yeah. Would I start Dorgu or Alderete? To be honest, I'd probably play Alderete. So doesn't look great. Defensively, would I start Wilson or O'Reilly? I'd probably play Wilson. Foden, Anderson to Cherki and Rodgers. Yeah, I don't mind those transfers. Foden and Anderson to Cherki and Rodgers. Probably better off with Cherki and Rodgers than Anderson and Foden, I imagine. If you've got the luxury, though, feels like maybe 2 transfers that you don't need to make. Do I think Rice has a chance of starting on the bench and then come on? Absolutely. I actually think that might be the most likely scenario for Rice, that he doesn't start but is in the squad. But I feel like because I don't have a good enough sub on my bench, like I don't think Anderson's good enough, so I am just going to start Rice. Am I sure of Haaland captain? Yes. I don't see anyone else in my team that I'd rather captain over Haaland. I don't think it's a good week for fixtures. The predicted points going around are pretty low. Yeah, pretty low. So, I mean, yeah, someone said if you've got Watkins or you've got Bowen, then you could consider it. But those two are such big differentials anyway that I'm not sure I'd be gambling against Haaland with it. Start Potts over O'Reilly? No, I'd play O'Reilly, yeah. I'd play O'Reilly. You can do Semenyo to Rodgers and O'Reilly to Gabriel for free. Your third centre-back would be Anderson or Senesi. Is it worth a -4 to get Van de Ven? No, but I would do Semenyo to Rodgers and O'Reilly to Gabriel, yeah. Start Rice or Dorgu? I'd start Rice. Margay, Alderete, Minter, O'Reilly, start 2. Probably Minter and then either O'Reilly or Alderete. Probably O'Reilly, I think. Am I getting Rodgers soon? Probably not, if I'm honest. I could end up if I ever sell Saka again, but yeah, right now I don't have a space for him. It would have to be one of Foden, Rice, Saka that goes to him, and I'm not planning on doing those at the moment. Thoughts on James Garner? I think he's a good 5 million option. I think it's a little bit of recency bias just because he did so well against Forest. And we've seen it a couple of times with cheap mids over this season that they are pretty good for DEFCON, and then they'll suddenly get loads of points and then they become a good pick, whereas you've probably missed the points for it. I probably would prefer Antoine Stack over Garner, I think, because the other issue with Garner is when Dewsbury Hall comes back, you'll probably want to move to him. So, if there's a Rice update, apparently he travelled with the squad. Whether that means he starts or not, or plays at all, we don't quite know. If I think Rice is coming off the bench, would I play Xhaka or Rice? Probably would start Xhaka. Probably would take the minutes on Xhaka, I think. So take a chance on Minter starting or replace him for a hit. I probably would just take a chance on Minter starting. I don't think he probably will, but I would say it's probably 60-40 that he doesn't. So it's pretty close. If you had Minter, I probably would just take the chance and start him. Was I not tempted to get Gabriel alongside Timber? Yeah, it was just really difficult for me to do, basically. Plus leaving money for something like Bruno in a couple of weeks. Yeah, basically. If Minter gets a 30-minute cameo, it's not bad either. That's also possible. Like a 30-minute cameo for Minter at home to Burnley is definitely not the end of the world. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be selling Minter for a hit. If you could sell Minter to someone like Bruno Guimaraes, Rodgers for free, then probably. But I'm not sure I'd be doing it for a hit. Would I start Stack, Thiago, or Minter? You could only play one. I probably would play Thiago just based off what you're going to get from him. Stack's probably quite close. He's probably got a higher floor because of DEFCON, a lot of set pieces, but I think I'd probably play Thiago over Stack. Semenyo start. Yeah, so apparently Semenyo is going to play the next 2 games for... he's going to start the next 2 for Bournemouth before he potentially moves. So why Semenyo over Wilson? Wilson's not looked as good recently, and although it's a better fixture against Liverpool, I just think Semenyo is just much more consistent and a better pick than Wilson. So I'd probably still trust Semenyo over Wilson. I think it's quite close. And if you've got double Arsenal, then you might not want to start Semenyo and you might want to start Wilson. And I'd also get that. It might depend a little bit on what defenders you own. But I think I'd probably start Semenyo if I'd had him. Because if you're benching Semenyo this week, you may as well be selling him. I mean, you might not have any transfers to sell him, and then that's fair enough. And you might want to play him at home to Spurs next week. But if you're benching Semenyo and then he's got Spurs at home, and then you're probably going to have to sell him. If you're benching him this week, I probably would just be selling him to someone else in order to bench Harry Wilson. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Captain Gabriel over Haaland, no. We went there a little bit with Gabriel captaincy when he had all those nice run of games, and it almost paid off. And then it didn't. Yeah, you'll basically never find me captaining a defender unless it's a double, and I don't have anyone else. Bowen, Haaland, Ekitike in a front 3 is fine. It's just quite a lot of money to spend on a front 3, which I still don't think is the best structure. But if I had to pick a front 3 right now, it would probably be that, or I drop one of them down to Calvert-Lewin just to save a bit of money. But if money was no object, I probably would go with those 3. I would consider Watkins, but I probably would have those 3. If I had all the money to play with, that would probably be where I'd go as a front 3. But I'd just be cautious that I'm not sure it's the best long-term structure. But that's coming from someone whose long-term structure looks like this at the moment. Wildcard draft. If you're looking for a wildcard, it was in the complete guide video yesterday afternoon. I did a bit of chat about chip strategies and about wildcard, so go and check that draft out if you haven't already. Any plans for Palmer in 22? Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it would be Saka. Saka straight to Palmer, or it might be Saka to Bruno, but that's not the best time for to buy Bruno and double up on United mid. So you never know, it might be Saka. Yeah, I mean, these injuries have really played havoc with my team, has to be said. But yeah, I need to do my best to potentially roll some transfers to get back to a little bit of some sort of structure, I think, and have a few transfers in the bank, because it doesn't feel like a great place to be in when you only have one at the moment. Have I thought about buying Nunes? City's fixtures are pretty good. Yes, I just like Tarkowski the most over Nunes, I think. But Nunes is the number one City defender I'd be buying now. He looks great. He definitely looks a better option than O'Reilly. So I like Nunes. He's in my top defenders to buy. Bench Keane or Rice? I'd probably play Keane over Rice. 8.2 in the bank. Rice to who? Already have 3 City. Probably Rodgers or one of the Newcastle mids. Chaël on wildcard until game week 24, then sell to Chalobah. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think Newcastle short term and then to Chalobah long term is absolutely a fine play. Yep. Bench Keane, or we did Ekitike and O'Reilly to DCL and Gabriel for a hit. I don't think I'd be doing that for a hit. I think Ekitike is going to be an interesting one over the next couple of weeks. If Ekitike blanks this week and then walks into Arsenal away, people are going to look to sell him. I'm not certain. I probably won't, but I am wondering if he's not going to be worth the money. If any forward at the moment is worth the money, and just doing something like Ekitike down to Calvert-Lewin and just taking the money from him is something I've had a look at. Do I think Mark Gay will join Liverpool now or in the summer? Probably in the summer, but I haven't followed the transfer speculation that much, but probably in the summer. Am I planning to get Palmer in the future? Probably. It might be in place of Saka. It will also depend on what happens with Chelsea over the next couple of weeks. So he's a wait and see. People will buy Palmer in 21 or 22. It probably will be later for me, because even in those games, I still think Saka's pretty good. Like, Saka's never going to be an issue. I mean, Liverpool at home's not great, but Forest away, United at home, Leeds away, still pretty good for Saka. And people forget the amount of games that Chelsea have got to play. Chelsea is in the FA Cup. They've got Carabao Cup semi-finals, and they've got a couple of games still left in the Champions League, which they do actually need to compete in. Like, they're still very much in the balance in the Champions League. So there are a lot of fixtures for Chelsea, which do put me off slightly for Palmer. Would I do Wirtz to Rodgers for a hit? Used your free transfer on Gabriel. I think there's a good chance Wirtz doesn't start with the update that we had, so probably I would just get rid of him, because you also want to sell him next week, I think. So yes, if you've got Wirtz, I probably would sell him. Start Rice or Van Dijk? Probably Van Dijk. Probably Van Dijk. Is there a world where Gabriel gets rested for Liverpool? Only thing that's putting me off. I mean, it's possible, right? Everything's possible, but they don't have Calafiori. Away at Bournemouth is not an easy game, so I don't know what the defence would look like. I suppose it would be Hincapié, Saliba, Timber, Ben White. But I don't think they'll throw it away like that, or not throw it away, but I don't think they'll go making loads of changes like that away at Bournemouth, where they've definitely had issues before, right? And we've seen it a couple of times with Arteta this season. Games where they've slipped up in the past, he's just gone absolutely full leather to win that game. Like we saw it against Brighton as well. So I think it'll be pretty full strength, to be honest. And it's a pretty good turnaround. They played Tuesday, then it's Saturday, and the game against Liverpool is not until Thursday. And then he won't play in the Cup at the weekend after Liverpool. So you have Semenyo. Who do I advise? Cunha, Rodgers, Paqueta, or Roll? I definitely wouldn't buy Cunha now. If you can do Rodgers and it doesn't impact your future transfers, I think Rodgers is probably the one I'd buy. Am I planning to do any transfers? I'm looking at Van Dijk to Tarkowski, but it would be for a hit. I just know that Tarkowski is the one that I want long term. And I'm effectively buying a transfer if I do it. Yeah, Bournemouth away is not an easy fixture. They need to go full in. I agree. I think it'll be a full strength Arsenal team. If Wright is available, I think he'll play. Whether he's available or not, I don't know. Any news on Keane? Unfortunately, nothing. Just that he's got a chance. That's basically it. If you've got Keane, I would keep him and play him unless you've got a luxury transfer to go to either Tarkowski or Gabriel. I think Keane's a difficult one because he'll be an issue for you anyway at some point, but I don't think you have to deal with it now. As I said, if you've got Keane and you've got luxury transfers and you want to go to Gabriel or Tarkowski and you've got the money, then that's fine. Outside of that, I probably would just keep him. Wilson or Stack? I probably would play Wilson, I think. Sell Calafiori or Tarkowski. Oh, sell Calafiori to Tarkowski. Yes, I would do that, yeah. Osbike, thank you for joining again as a base tier member. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. You've got 3 free transfers. 2 are set for Tarkowski and Gabriel, but who is better, Bowen for Ekitike or Sell Raya? I'd probably roll that last one. I'm not sure either of those transfers are worth it. I would only be selling Raya if you're going to use the Arsenal spot on something else. I just got to hope, as someone who's not gone with double Arsenal defence, that they concede to Bournemouth and to Liverpool. And if they don't keep a clean sheet in the next 2, then it will be all right. And even then, we might be in a position of moving back to it further down the line. But I've just got to hope that there's a maximum of 1 clean sheet or 2. Yeah, 1 clean sheet in the next 3. Is Reece James a must sell? I would just get rid of him because there'll be every week coming up where the fixtures look good and you'll want to play him, and he will definitely miss some of those fixtures. Like, he will definitely start this weekend and then he'll probably start away at Fulham, but it's no guarantee given he'll have just played City. Then it's the Cup. Then it's the Cup semi-final before the Brentford game. And then we play midweek in the Champions League. And then it's the next game away at Palace. There were just too many games for Reece James, which is why I'd always buy Chalobah over him. I would probably do yourself a favour and just get rid of Reece James. There'll be weeks where, there'll be a week between now and game week 26 where he gets a 12-pointer, but there'll be enough other weeks where he gets benched. I don't think the 12-pointer is worth the headache that you'll get between now and then. And actually, I don't think the short-term fixtures are great from a defensive point of view. Like City away, Fulham away, Brentford and Palace in the next 4. With a new manager, doesn't scream clean sheets for me. So I think attackers, you can buy Chelsea from next week. I think defenders need to wait until 23-24. What's the latest on the Chelsea manager job? It sounds like the Strasbourg manager is going to get it, which I don't want to comment because I don't know very much about him, but it seems like a crazy decision to sack Maresca just to get your manager from another club, but we'll see. And I'm sure most of you in the chat agree that it feels like a bit of a crazy decision, but I've actually just sort of resigned myself to it being absolute chaos and a really not very good time for us at the moment. December was awful. I would never have sacked Poch. I would never have got rid of Tuchel, and I wouldn't have got rid of Maresca. So this is where we're at. Will Bruno start? Bruno Fernandes, no. Yeah, why have 1 derailed season when you can have 2? Well, it's a bit of mutual part ways because he's fallen out with them. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out, but I wouldn't be surprised in 6 months, in 12 months if we're in this same position all over again. And that's the most annoying thing. I mean, he might prove me wrong, but I can't see him being the long-term future as manager of Chelsea. Start 2 of Wilson, Jimenez, Alderete. I'd probably start both attackers and bench Alderete, I think. Yeah, and it doesn't look great on Strasbourg. I can only imagine if there's a Strasbourg fan in the chat, what it feels like for you at the moment. Yeah. People in the chat saying he's good, but yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens. Anyway. Yeah, so Declan Rice, I'm just going to have to keep him and play him, and I'm going to have to hope that Arsenal concede. The ownership of Arsenal defence is about just over 100 at the moment, so it's not the end of the world. I just got to hope that Rice comes back in, because I still think long-term that Rice is probably a better own than Saka. Like, he has weeks where he blanks, definitely, but he also has more haul weeks, and his bonus is really good. Why is my phone ringing? No one rings me. Well, that's a first. It was Chelsea. They were offering me the job. No, it was. I have a delivery coming this afternoon, and they phoned to ask if they could deliver it earlier. I was like, sure. No, it's Chelsea. They wanted to offer me the job, so this will be my last stream ever because I'm going to take the Chelsea job. Anyway, let's go back to it. Risk it on Minter starting or roll or move to Szoboszlai for a hit. I definitely wouldn't be going to Szoboszlai, no. Harry would get sacked from Chelsea after attempting to roll his transfers. I'd be like, do we need any new players? We'll get to the transfer window. Do we need any new players? Oh, no new players. Let's just roll. Let's roll another transfer window. I'm starting Rice because apparently he's travelled with the squads. And I've just got to hope that he plays. Raya and Vandenberg, Anderson, Sanchez, Gabriel, Mukiele or Stack. Raya and Vandenberg / Anderson to Sanchez and Gabriel. Yes, I'd sell Vandenberg. Harry's team talk at half-time. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. This wouldn't be your last stream because you'd be sacked in 6 months. Yeah, half-time, we're losing. Right, enough is enough. Who to bench? Semenyo, Hall, Rice, O'Reilly or Malik Chow? I mean, I'm not sure I'd double up on Newcastle defence, but I'd probably bench O'Reilly, I think. Yeah, it's the new FPL chip. It's called Phone a Friend. Or a friend phones you. Wilson to Rodgers for a hit. If you've got the money, I don't mind it. I think long-term, Rodgers is better. Is it worth doing Foden to Cherky? Probably not unless you need the money. Yeah. Harry after his post-match. I'm not looking for advice on my team. Dear. Funny. Yeah, I'll be subbing all your Chelsea defenders off after 59 minutes. That's for certain. We'll be on a clean sheet. Whoa. Sanchez is quite highly owned against me in my ranks. So, Sanchez, you're coming off. Whoa. Palmer, you scored. I don't have you in my team. Oh, off you come. Van Dijk and Thiago to Gabriel and Bowen for a -4. Yes. Yeah. I don't know whether Thiago to Bowen's worth a hit, but maybe just Van Dijk to Gabriel for free. Semenyo to Rodgers for a hit. I'm not sure I'd do it for a hit. No. Is Paqueta out? We think Paqueta will play. We think he's back, but we don't actually know. Please give us early team news on the stream if you get the job. I'll do my best. I might not be allowed to stream. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. We need to answer some questions. You have only Devaney and Richards in the bench in your first team, Rice and Anderson. Should I go Richards to Van de Ven for free? I quite like Van de Ven, so I don't mind that transfer. I think we're going to get back to the point where Van de Ven and Spurs are suddenly hurting our rank again every week like they did at the start of the season. Start Saliba or Jimenez? I'd probably play Jimenez, I think. O'Reilly, Verts to Rogers, Timber or Gordon, Gabriel. O'Reilly, Verts, I'd go Gabriel. Yeah, Gordon, Gabriel. Verts or Wilson to someone else for a -4. I'd sell Verts. I don't think he's guaranteed to start. Yeah, I don't think he's guaranteed to start, but I probably would look to sell Verts. So I'd play Malik Chow over Verts. Mate the Goat is asking. Van Dijk and Thiago to Gabriel and Bowen. Yeah, I'm not sure Thiago to Bowen's worth a hit. I don't think we know anything on Paqueta, do we? Lots of people in... Well, quite a few people... Honestly. If anyone sees anything on Twitter and wants me to tag me in it, apart from videos of me saying that I'm retiring from streaming or the fact that I was on the phone, play Wilson or O'Reilly. Probably Wilson, I say. Do I think Minter and Vandenberg start? I think Vandenberg might come back in. Minter I'm less confident on. Long term, you think you need to downgrade Virgil so you can upgrade Anderson. So maybe I'm going to do Van Dijk to Tarkowski. So just to show you the planned moves for me, right? So if I do Van Dijk to Tarkowski, right? I'm not saying I'm going to do it today, but I'm pretty certain I'm going to do that, right? It leaves me 1.2 in the bank. Cunha back to Bruno at some point. Leaves me 0. Oh, I can't even go Tavernier. I thought I could do Anderson to Tavernier if I wanted to, but I can't even do that. The joys of being 0.1 short, hey? Maybe Bruno will drop. Yeah, I mean, we know that Paqueta's a doubt because he went off with a back injury, but he wasn't mentioned at all in the press conference, so I think we just got to presume that he's okay. Bruno could drop, to be fair. It's possible. I know one more Bruno drop and I could afford. I don't even know if I'm going to buy Tavernier, but he's just the one that I looked at. Best 4.5 million defender, probably Van de Ven now. Probably Van de Ven. 4.5. I think the Spurs fixtures look pretty good. They're not bad defensively. They don't seem to be scoring any goals, but start Mukiele or Dorgu. Probably Dorgu, but I think both probably concede. So maybe you just go Mukiele because he'll get DEFCON. Chance of Rice starting, probably 30%, I'd say. Oh, so there is a tweet on Paqueta. I do apologise. Lucas Paqueta is a doubt for today's game. It's on Twitter. Paqueta is a doubt. Thank you for tagging me in it as well. I mean, there's not much you can do if you've got Paqueta. He's got good fixtures long term. I think you just keep him and you hold him and you play him and hope he plays. Yeah, don't think you can do much more on him. Raya and Anderson to Verbruggen and Tarkowski for a hit. I mean, they're better long-term picks, so would I do it for a hit? Maybe not, but they're definitely good transfers. Anderson to Garner. Yeah, I'm going to just keep Anderson until there's someone I really think I need to bring in. And I don't think Garner falls into that category at the moment. Yeah, Foden's not been great recently. He's another one that I'm having a look at. I just don't have the transfers to deal with any of this. This is my issue, and this is why I might take the hit this week, because I need to start building up some transfers, because if I don't, I know I'm going to have to sell Van Dijk. Like, I've got to make a defensive transfer at some point. It might not be this week. I could do it in a couple of weeks, but I'm going to have to do it. You have Keane, Minter, and Rice. Would I move one on in case they don't all play? Keane, Minter, and Rice. It depends if you've got a good enough bench, because I think Minter will be in the squad. Rice, less certain. Keane, less certain. I think Minter's the most likely, but Keane's then more likely to start. So it depends who your bench is. If you had to sell one, Keane and Minter would probably be the ones I'd move on, unless you could do like Rice and Keane to Gabriel or something. Bowen on pens if Paqueta's out. Yes, it would put Bowen on pens for a game or so. Yeah. Wait for Dewsbury Hall. Well, that's the current plan for Anderson. Just hope that Dewsbury Hall's back soon. Yeah, Ekatike needs to start doing something and pay off, definitely. Yeah, Trossard looks like a great hidden gem. They do just have a lot of fixtures coming up, and I don't know for certain how he's definitely going to play them all, basically. But I like Trossard. He looks fantastic at the moment as well. Right, I have realised we are almost an hour into the stream, and I haven't even asked you to like the stream once or subscribe either. So if you haven't liked, there are 4,000 of you watching who haven't liked the stream, and I haven't even asked once. So if you want to like the stream and help me out, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've seen. Thank you for tagging me in the Paqueta stuff. Yeah. Who to bench? O'Reilly, Hall, or Anderson? I'd play Lewis Hall. It looks like Lewis Hall's going to be okay. O'Reilly or Hall or Anderson. I'd probably bench Anderson. Would I take a -4 to do Thiago to Bowen? Probably not. Probably not. Will Walter Mulder start? Yes, I would be cautious that he might not start midweek though. He might start both, but he also might not, given that Ritter has just started and scored. But yes, Voltemada is expected to start, yeah. Gajetil, bench 1. Foden, Calvert-Lewin, Semenyo, Cunha. I'd probably bench Semenyo. Rogers, Foden, Calvert-Lewin, Semenyo, Cunha, Bruno. Yeah, I probably would bench Semenyo there. Bench 1. Rice, Timber, Van Dijk, O'Reilly, Dorgu. Timber better than Dorgu. Van Dijk better than Dorgu. O'Reilly better than Dorgu. So Rice or Dorgu. Probably be tempted to bench Dorgu and hope that Rice played. News on O'Reilly. We think it was just a tactical sub, so nothing to suggest that O'Reilly won't start against Chelsea. You said not to do it, but you did. Stuck from 1 to 1.5 million, preparing to roll the dice. Thoughts on Verbruggen, Dubravka, Timber, Gabriel, Williams, Hall, Heaven, Saka, Palmer, Gordon, Cherky, Enzo Lafie, Haaland, Bowen, Guiu. I like the team, but if you're wildcarding now, I would worry a little bit about the depth in there. You've got Enzo Lafie playing pretty much every week. You've got Heaven. You've got a Forest defender, and you've got Guiu. I'd swap Williams out. I'd swap Hall out. I'd go for Balak Chow over Hall. I've always said that I'd rather the safety of Malik Chow over Hall. I'd go for a safer option over Williams, and I'd try and find money somewhere to do like Guiu to Calvert-Lewin, but I don't know where you'd get it. It would be one of Saka or Palmer probably, or Bowen. I don't mind the team, but I just think there's a little bit of a lack of depth if you're wildcarding this early. Bowen's a good pick. Yeah, Bowen looks like a good pick. Chris, thank you for joining as a base tier member. Welcome to the channel. Who's the most important to replace this week? O'Reilly, Keane, Minter, or Thiago? Most important to... None of them are that important to replace, because O'Reilly's fine still. Keane is probably Keane, but if Keane plays this week, he's the best of all of them. That's my issue. I would say Minter probably, but again, I would probably say Minter would be the one I'd be most likely to sell first. He might end up starting though. Yeah, forwards need to step up. If I need some money, it might just be Ekatike in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Who to bring in? Tarkowski or Matheus Nunes? I think Tarkowski is a better set and forget long-term option, I think. Verbruggen or Raya? Raya. I imagine that's you own both and you're going to start one, in which case I'd start Raya. Best long-term goalkeeper, Raya, Verbruggen, Pickford, Sanchez, Kelleher, all good. All are good options. Tanmay, is Rodgers really that good and worth it? Minter, De Bruyne, Guimaraes, Schade, Rodgers, Gordon. I think I'd pick Rodgers out of him. The long-term option fixtures for Rodgers just look the best, I think. Like I am looking at in my team something like Ekatike. Let's say I've sold Cunha back to Bruno, right? Let's say it was Rodgers. I don't know if it will be Rodgers, but it leaves me 6.6 for a forward, so I could just go Calvert-Lewin in here. I would be playing him every week, which doesn't feel great, but something like that. Like Ekatike, just I'm not certain it's worth the money. I mean, I'm not taking a -12 for it, but yeah. You have Saka playing Bournemouth, Arsenal in his fixtures. Yeah, so the way that the captaincy works is the fixture is the match is the fixture. So it will say Bournemouth, Arsenal. Yeah. I know it's different to all of the other ones, but it has just the fixture, right? So Haaland is Man City, Chelsea. Saka is Bournemouth, Arsenal with the home team on the left. Watkins, Villa, Forest. Cunha away at Leeds. Bowen away at Wolves. Amazing how everyone laughed at DCL. Now we're considering buying him. I know, but it's when the other forwards are just not doing anything. It's difficult. You just look at the cheapest one that is doing something and think, well, I could just save the money for him. Percentage-wise, how likely am I to do Van Dijk to Tarkowski? 60%, I'd say. Because as you've seen, I just need to get some transfers in the bank. And I don't feel particularly comfortable not having any of them in there. Yeah, quite a lot of players not delivering. A lot of us have had quite low scores over the past few weeks. And it also doesn't help when Haaland doesn't return, because that's then all of our captains not doing anything either. What I think on Matty Cash, yeah, I don't mind it. I actually took a price drop a couple of nights ago down to 4.8 again. I still don't trust the Villa defence completely. I think is probably something to note, but yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind the Matty Cash pick. Yeah. I'm not certain that the upcoming Villa fixtures are as good as they look, though. So if I just get like Matty Cash up. Forest at home's pretty good. Palace away's all right. Everton at home, I mean, Newcastle away, Brentford at home, Bournemouth. Like, these are good. They're good as a run, but individually, I still think there's some tricky games in there for Villa. Trust Kudus? No, Spurs don't look good enough going forward. I wouldn't be buying Kudus. If you're looking for a player at that price, have a look at Cherky. If not, potentially wait a couple of weeks and look at Enzo Fernandez again. I know people will say he's not been great, but do have a look at Enzo. Do have a look at him. Start Anderson, Stack, Mukiele, or Lafie. Anderson, Stack, Mukiele, Lafie. Probably Stack. Is a back four going to be template going forwards? It's possible. It's possible, yeah. Potentially. Like, if I take money out of Ekitike, I could end up upgrading a defender instead and going to a back four. I'm pretty happy with the Anderson-Richards rotation. They rotate pretty well. Let me get FPL rotation planner up and I can show you. But the aim is, once the next couple of games are out of the way for Man United, FPL rotation planner is linked in the description if you want to have a look. So if I put Crystal Palace and I put Fulham in, for game week 22 onwards, I have fixtures of Leeds away or Sunderland away in 22, Brighton at home, Forest away, Everton at home, Burnley at home, Wolves at home. 28's not perfect, but I just play him at home to Spurs. I think's fine. Game week 29, West Ham at home, and then Leeds at home. Long-term rotation for those two remains really good, which is why I've been quite keen on keeping those two in there, because from 22 onwards, I think the fixture rotation starts to look really good again. So that was always the plan, and then Everton's the last one, which in 28 is not great. Goes away to Newcastle, but apart from that, it looks good. O'Reilly rest. I think O'Reilly will start, probably not guaranteed, but I don't see them playing Nathan Ake again twice in 3 days. I don't see that happening, in which case I don't think they have a direct replacement. Captain Rodgers, I mean, it's the early kickoff, but yeah, I just don't think I can trust him with the data that he's got. I think Rodgers is a nice pick to have, but I would never trust the captaincy armband when a lot of his returns are coming from very low probability chances. Who's the best to bring in, Tarkowski or Mateus Nunes? I'd go Tarkowski over Mateus Nunes. Start Keane or Dorgu. I'd start Keane over Dorgu. Start Keane, Rice or Wilson. I probably would play Keane if you've got him. If any of you have got Michael Keane, I would just play him and just hope that he starts. Hope that he plays. He might not, but I don't think he'll be on the bench and come on. I don't think that's likely to happen. What's wrong with Captain Ekitike? I mean, Liverpool look all over the place going forward at the moment. Yeah. Since we all bought him, they've really struggled in front of goal. They've scored twice in 2 games. I wouldn't be investing new. So people asking about Frimpong, people asking about Szoboszlai. I just wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Just every week they seem to be disappointing. I know they've got Burnley at home in a couple of games, but I would just, if you've got them and you want to hold them for that, I think that's fine. But yeah, I would also be looking to not invest in them new. By Cherky or Bruno Guimaraes, probably Bruno Guimaraes. Just with Semenyo joining, it will just cause a little bit of havoc in all of those attacking City spots. What to do if Rice and Minto is 6 million and 1 transfer? I mean, if you've got 6 million and you can do Rice to like Saka or Palmer, then you could do that. You could just do that. Or you could do Minter upgrades as well. Giandre, Minter replacement, and would I do it for a hit? I wouldn't sell Minter for a hit, no. If you could go to a Bruno Guimaraes, you could go to a Gordon, a Rodgers, potentially, but I don't think I'd be selling him for a hit, no. Would I sell Lacroix, Anderson, or Keane for Gabriel? Probably Keane, because he's the one who's going to be the issue soonest out of the others. I'm going to be keeping Rice and just hope he plays. Yeah. Would I sell Foden? Foden is only worth selling if you need the money, but actually Foden to Cherky is probably not the worst transfer. Cherky also hit DEFCON the other night, which was a bit random, but sorry. Was in my own little world then. Riot to Verbruggen to fund Van Dijk to Gabriel later on. Riot to Verbruggen to fund Van Dijk to Gabriel. Yeah, I mean, you could do Van Dijk to Gabriel this week. I think the sooner you do that transfer, the better, because you'll also probably want to do it next week. Just to clarify, you're actually leaning towards a Liverpool win at Fulham. Well, the plan is I might sell Van Dijk for a -4, so probably not, actually. I'm probably leaning towards... Hopefully there'll be a goal in it for Ekitike, but... yeah. I don't think Liverpool would necessarily win away at Fulham, no. Thoughts on an early wildcard? If you're going early on wildcard, you need to think absolutely about squad depth. You need to be having 15 players, 14 at a minimum, that you would happily play pretty much every week. You got a feeling Rice will have issues with his knee for the next couple of months. That is my only worry with Rice, is that it might just be an ongoing issue. That is something I have thought about. But it was just a knock against Brighton at the weekend. So I'm hoping that it's okay. I'm hoping it's okay. Rice, Bruno G or Cherky with a better bench. And is it smart to save money to change Bruno in for Cunha later? Yeah, I probably would go Bruno Guimaraes over Cherky, but I think there's not much in it, so you could just go Cherky slightly cheaper. Have I seen the video of Declan Rice talking to Morgan Rogers after the Villa game? He's hobbling. Surely they rest him for the future congestion. I actually don't think he's hobbling in that video. I think he's walking okay, and I think he's more saying his knee was huge and like it was so swollen. So, I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I'm hoping that he'll be okay. I'm hoping it'll be okay, even by the Liverpool game. Why Verbruggen over Rolfs? It's more a money thing, but Rolfs looks great. Yeah, I kind of wish I'd went Rolfs. I'm probably going to end up... There'll be a strategy at some point, which is like wildcard 27, 28. And at the moment, it looks difficult for me not to go for that strategy. Basically. Ekitike to DCL, Reinders to Bruno Guimaraes for free, and Gates Tarski for a hit. Does it sound good? Yeah, if Ekitike is the place you want to get the money, I don't have an issue with that. Should I sell Semenyo? Who to get with 0.7 in the bank? Yeah, Rogers or... yeah, Rogers, Bruno Guimaraes, or Cherky probably if you're selling Semenyo. Brandon, 1 free transfer, 5 million in the bank. You've got Dorgu, Tarkowski, Gabriel, Van Dijk at the back, Wilson, Rice, Anderson, Foden, Cunha, Ekitike. Should I try to get Saka or someone else? Gabriel, Wilson, Rice, Anderson, Foden, Cunha, Ekitike, Haaland. I wouldn't buy Saka with that, and I'd probably just roll your transfer, Brandon. Again, your wildcard, you've gone with Rovs in goal, Gabriel, Timber, Tarkowski, Mukiele, Alderete. I wouldn't go double Sunderland. Apart from that, Saka, Haaland, Foden. The rest looks pretty good. I just wouldn't go Like, I'd go Van de Ven over one of the Sunderland defenders, I imagine. Start Sunderland defender or O'Reilly. Probably O'Reilly. I know Sunderland have been good, but I would probably play O'Reilly over them. Captain Foden. I mean, he's not been great recently, but I do think that centre of the pitch against Chelsea with no Caicedo there will be pretty good for City. Would I start Minter or McNeil? I'd start Minter. Minter. I'd start Minter. Cunha has been bad. 55 points all season. Yep. Cunha will go to Bruno just for a bit of security in my team once Bruno's back. Bench one and sell one to who? Wilson, Thiago, O'Reilly, Wirtz. Bench one, sell one. Sell Wirtz. Bench O'Reilly. Sell Wirtz, most expensive, least nailed. Minter to Paqueta, worth it? No. So Paqueta is a doubt. Reports this morning on Twitter from some West Ham accounts that he is a doubt. So if you've got Paqueta, you probably just hold him, play him, and hope he starts, but you can't really be buying him new now. Nathan Ake quotes this morning. I twisted my knee versus Sunderland and felt something weird the whole game. Actually, every time I passed, we'll see. But I think if you can carry on for 90 minutes, it should be fine. There is no way Ake gets risked again after quotes like that. There's no way, which means I think O'Reilly has to start. So I think O'Reilly probably starts. I can't see Ake playing again. Should you sell Semenyo? I probably would. You've got 0.7 in the bank. Bruno Guimaraes, Rodgers. Rodgers would probably be the one I'd buy. Thanks for all the excellent content. No worries. Would I start Xhaka or Anderson? Xhaka, historic rivals against Spurs, making me lean that way. I'd play Xhaka over Anderson. I'd play Xhaka over Anderson every day. He's on more set pieces than Anderson is. He's got more open play threat. Yeah, I'd play him. Isn't Sanchez better through 27 than all others? So the thing is with the Chelsea fixtures is the next four, City away, Fulham away, Brentford at home, Palace away. I don't actually think it's that great from the Chelsea defensive point of view. So I'm not that certain on it. I think more you can wait until after those fixtures for buying a defender. Buying an attacker, you can definitely go earlier before that. Would I do a -8 to take Raya, Rice and Semenyo to bring Rodgers, Saka and Verbruggen? No, I would probably just do Semenyo to Rodgers for free. Probably just do Semenyo to Rodgers. I think Rodgers is my favourite Semenyo replacement. Yeah. Here, let's have a look. 5 free transfers. Lucky you. Virgil van Dijk to Gabriel to enable double Arsenal defence. Would I then go Thiago to DCL or Richarlison, Rice to Schade or Cherky? Probably wouldn't do either of those. I'd just keep Thiago for now. I'd probably just do Van Dijk to Gabriel and keep the other transfers, I think. This is, if you're in a position where you've got 5 or 4 or even 3 transfers and you're looking at everyone else with 1, don't suddenly think you need to use all of yours to try and gain an advantage. Rolling is still a great option, I think. Yeah. Is Rice fit? Apparently Rice has travelled. That's all we know. Apparently Rice has travelled with the squad. Yeah, I mean, those 5 free transfers. I've been so good at rolling all season and then they went like that. Should I start O'Reilly or Dorgu? I'd play O'Reilly. With those Ake quotes, I can't see Ake playing in such quick succession, so no. Buy Keane to cover O'Reilly or roll. I wouldn't be buying Keane. He's a doubt. Yeah. Wildcard, you've got 4 injuries and Eze. If you've only got 1 transfer, then maybe, but I would still consider just like a -4 or a -8 or something to fix some of them, then play your wildcard. I still just think the wildcard is so much more valuable later on in the season. I think I just would definitely be trying to save your wildcard. Cunha or Wilson, would I bench one? Yeah, I'd play Cunha away at Leeds over Wilson. I think Wilson at home to Liverpool is absolutely fine, but I think I'd play Cunha if you've got him, yeah. Start O'Reilly or Anderson? I'd play O'Reilly over Anderson. Should I start Anderson or Alderete? I'd play Alderete over Anderson. Will Grealish start? Probably yes. Yes. And play Miley or O'Reilly. Probably O'Reilly. Start Sanchez or Dubravka. I'd play Dubravka. Cool. Is Saka essential as a long-term pick, especially if Rice is back? No. If all Arsenal players were fully fit and I was on wildcard, Saka wouldn't go in. I'd have Rice, I would have Gabriel, and I would have Timber. If I had the luxury of picking it, that's who I'd have. I think. Paqueta in on wildcard and hope he plays. As long as you've got a decent enough first sub, then yes, I don't mind that. If your bench isn't good enough to cover if he does miss out, then I think you've got to go with someone else. Thanks for the great content. Have 1 free transfer. Should I sell Thiago for DCL or roll? I would just roll. Again, a transfer like that only feels worth it when you need the money. In isolation, I'm not sure DCL is definitely better than Thiago. Might be slightly better this week, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Tark to O'Reilly. O'Reilly to Tarkowski, I imagine. Yes. Yeah, I don't mind selling O'Reilly to Tarkowski. The long-term fixtures just look great for Everton. That's why I want Tarkowski, because the long-term fixtures just look great for them. Like, between now and game week 29, there's not really a week that I'd really worry too much about playing him. Maybe game week 22 away at Villa. If I had to play Tarkowski away at Brighton, away at Fulham, or home to Bournemouth, home to United, I think it's absolutely fine. So yeah. Yeah. He's just a nice long-term option. He's good for DEFCON. Everton are finding a way, despite quite a lot of XGC, to keep some clean sheets. So yeah. Something like that. Leaves me 1.2 in the bank, enough to do Cunha up to Bruno. Is Timber to Gabriel essential? Absolutely not, no. It feels like quite a luxury move, but I just know I want Gabriel. News about Rice. So apparently he's travelled with the Arsenal squad to Bournemouth last night, but that's about all we know. They're probably going to be checking him this morning to see how his knee is. Who do I rank higher out of Sharda and Cherky? Probably Sharda, because I also just favour minutes long term. Yeah, probably just favour minutes. Start Minter or Mark Gay? Start Minter or Mark Gay? I'd take the chance on Minter, I think, because I expect Newcastle to score. So I'd play Minter. I think if you've got Minter, I would probably just play him and hope he plays. You've done Raya to Verbruggen and Van Dijk to Gabriel. Would I play Anderson with no versus Liverpool with no backup, or take a hit to do Richards to O'Brien? I wouldn't buy O'Brien. He's also not fully nailed when everyone's back available. He probably will keep his place now, but yeah, I wouldn't be doing that. I just play Anderson. What to do with Keane and Van Dijk next week? Well, Keane will probably be fine next week because if Keane's got a chance to play at home to Brentford, he'll probably play at home to Wolves. Van Dijk, you might want to sell, but if you can bench him and keep him for Burnley at home, then that's also a possibility. You have Pickford. Would I still double up on Everton defence? I don't mind it. It would probably make me less inclined to buy one of the other defenders, but I still don't mind it. Like, if you've got double Arsenal, if you're tripled up on Arsenal, then I still think that Everton are probably the next best to buy. You could have a look at a Chelsea defender, but I'm not certain that the short-term fixtures are as good as it is for the attacking assets. But someone like a Chalobah could be an alternative if you've also got Pickford. What's the plan with Liverpool versus Arsenal with your players? Arsenal versus Liverpool. I'll 100% be starting triple Arsenal that game. And then it's just what I do with Ekitike. Yeah, I've got no issues with starting triple Arsenal in that game. Senesi to Van de Ven for free. You can only buy a 4.5 defender. Yes. Yeah. I don't think Senesi's that bad a hold. Like, we spoke about it with Tavernier. I think some of those long-term Bournemouth fixtures are not the worst. They are just shipping a lot of goals, though, so I don't mind Van de Ven as a replacement. By Kudos or Rodgers, definitely Rodgers, yeah, definitely. Anderson or Semenyo, I'd probably play Semenyo over Anderson, yeah. Bench 2, Keane, Mark Gay, Rice, Wilson, Thiago. Keane, Mark Gay, Rice, Wilson, Thiago, bench 2. Wilson, Mark Gay, probably. Play Keane, Rice, Thiago, and if they miss out, then you get those off the bench. Surely Minter has to start if he doesn't have an injury. Brighton haven't won a game since November. But I think they've been pretty honest that Minter's not been great over that period. So it could well be someone else. And we know that there's often a lot of rotation in that Brighton team. And if he does have any sort of a knock, then he might not start. I don't think it's guaranteed that he doesn't start. I think there's still a chance, but I wouldn't be particularly surprised. If I had to predict, I'd say he doesn't start, but he could well do. And I'd take the chance on him if you've got him, because I think there's still a good chance that he does and he gets enough minutes off the bench anyway, and it's a great fixture. So, yeah. A lot of people asking about yellow cards. The yellow card threshold has officially reset for every player. So players on 4 yellow cards now don't need to worry. So someone looking at like an Anderson of Fulham who's on 4 yellow cards in 4 games, they have to get up to 10 yellows now to face a 2-match suspension. So 5 yellow cards doesn't apply to anyone anymore. Vert out for Saka for a -4. I'm just not certain I'd be doing Saka. I think he's fine if you don't have Rice, but I'd be looking for double Arsenal defense. So, would I do Verts to Saka for a hit? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest. Happy New Year. You have 2 Everton defense. Would I bench Harry Wilson or Thiago? I'd play Thiago over Harry Wilson, I think. Start Van de Ven. Oh, we've got double Everton defence. I would probably play Thiago over Harry Wilson, but with double Everton defence, I'd maybe be inclined to just go all in and play Harry Wilson. Start Van de Ven or Mark Gay, and start Calvert-Lewin or Wilson. Calvert-Lewin over Wilson and Van de Ven over Mark Gay. Start Rice or Wilson. Wilson first bench position. I'd probably just take the minutes from Wilson and start him, to be honest. Dorgu, Hall or Miley. Bench 1. I'd bench Lewis Miley. Semenyo's definitely... He should start the next 2. So if you want to sell Semenyo to someone like a Rodgers, to a Bruno Guimaraes, a Gordon, a Cherky, someone like that, then you can. He is going to start, by the sounds of it, Arsenal at home, Spurs at home in the next 2, and then likely make the switch to Manchester City. So you can hold Semenyo. I do think there are going to be options who are going to be better than him over the next couple of games, though. Who's the best forward to replace Ekitike with in the next couple of weeks? I mean, Bowen will still be good. And actually, I think he's a little bit better if he gets penalties with Paqueta out. But if we have a look at the Fantasy Football Scout members area and have a look at the upcoming fixtures. Right. We want to attackers. We want to sort by difficulty. And let's say we want the next 6 game weeks, but from like game week 21. So after this week. Chelsea are at the top. So if you wanted to punt on João Pedro, which I probably wouldn't do. Palace, if you wanted to go back to Mateta, also probably something I wouldn't do. Everton, Arsenal, West Ham. So someone like a Bowen potentially still got some good games in there. City, there's no one. Bournemouth, there's no one. This is the issue you've got. You've got Newcastle looking like they're going to rotate their forwards. You've got Burnley, you're not going to buy. Forest, you're not going to buy. Fulham, you're not going to buy. Villa, Watkins is probably too expensive. It could be Watkins. Wolves, you're not going to buy. Sunderland, you're not going to buy. Brighton, there's no one. Spurs, there's no one really. Like, you're not going to buy Richarlison. United, no. Leeds are right down here as well. They've got Newcastle away, Everton away, Arsenal at home, Chelsea away. Like, the fixtures for Calvert-Lewin are not great, but he is the cheapest. The real issue with forwards, it might be that you go Bowen. Thiago to Calvert-Lewin. I'm just not sure it's worth a transfer. I'd probably just hold Thiago. Would I do Minter to Gordon with nothing in the bank, start Anderson in defence, or Senesi to Tarkowski, Minter replacement limited to 6.5 next week? I'd rather Senesi to Tarkowski, I think, and then just find a different Minter replacement when you need it. Would I do 4-4-2 with Wilson or 5-3-2 with Lacroix? I'd play Harry Wilson over Lacroix. Lacroix was really unlucky not to score in that game, though. But yeah, I'd play Wilson over Lacroix. Would I captain Bowen? He's in my top 5. I wouldn't personally. Like, I'm not going to say I'd captain anyone other than Haaland if I own them. On free hit, I think I'd captain Haaland. I don't think there's anyone else on free hit that I'd even captain. I think. So I wouldn't, but I think he's up there as a good alternative. You've done Raya to Verbruggen and Virgil van Dijk to Gabriel. Would I play Anderson with no backup or take a hit for Richards to O'Brien? If you could do Richards to Tarkowski, then I would. And I'd play Wilson over Potts, yeah. Start Dallo, Mark Gay, Senesi. I'd play Dallo over the others. And I'd play Szoboszlai over Harry Wilson, probably. Ekitike over Cunha. If I had to play one, I'd probably play Ekitike over Cunha, but there's not much in it. Please rank the Arsenal defence once Calafiori is available. Gabriel, Timber, Calafiori, Saliba, Raya in that order. Hall and Keane updates. Hall is fine. It was just a precaution. It sounds like Hall is going to be okay. Keane has a chance. We don't really know why he missed out, but yeah, sounds like Hall will start. Keane is less certain. Would I start Van Dijk or Dallo? Van Dijk or Dallo? Probably Van Dijk. Also, the best Semenyo replacement in the next few weeks, but you need to be cheap to go for Bruno instead of Cunha when he's back. Cherky, Tavernier potentially. Cheap midfielders are a bit rough at the moment. If anyone else in the chat has got a sub 7 million midfielder that's worth buying, so that excludes Bruno Guimaraes. Gravenberch, no. Garner, Enzo is one I'm having a look at for the upcoming Chelsea fixtures. Kudus, I wouldn't buy. And Die when he's back from AFCON, but he's probably not going to be back until game week 23, which is not the worst. Like, you could go and Die from 23 onwards. Dango Atara when he's back. Paqueta, true. Paqueta, if he's back available, is probably the one. What time is it? 10:30. We've got half an hour to go until the deadline. Please, if you haven't already, drop a like and subscribe if you are new. Thank you all very much for joining. I hope you're having a nice Saturday. Thank you for 1,000 likes on the stream as well. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Anything else on Twitter? No, just the Paqueta news, but it doesn't rule him out, so you've just got to keep him if you've got him. Thoughts on Watkins over Bowen? I'm not sure Watkins is worth the money. I just am not certain he plays every week when they play 3 times a week still in the Champions League. Wildcard, yes or no? I would ideally save it. Like, I'd rather take a -4 or a -8 than play the wildcard, I think. But yeah, I'd rather save it, I think. Any news on Dewsbury Hall? I think a lot of players were expecting around game week 22. That's the same for Bruno, Dewsbury Hall, Branthwaite. For quite a lot of them, we're expecting after that sort of week and a half gap between game week 21, 22. Play Heaven or Harry Wilson? I'd play Harry Wilson over Heaven. Definitely. Good morning, Harry. Would I prefer Rodgers over Cunha as a transfer? I would, yeah. I'd rather have Rodgers in my team than Cunha, yes. Yeah. Would I start Wirtz or O'Reilly? Probably O'Reilly. I'd look to be selling Wirtz if I'm honest. Should I take Malik Chow for Lacroix for a hit? Chow for Lacroix for a hit? No. No, I wouldn't be selling Lacroix for a hit, especially. I think Lacroix is a fine option if you want to go to Tarkowski or Gabriel, but outside of that, I wouldn't. The news on Rice is that he has travelled. Whether that means he starts, whether that means he's on the bench, whether that means he's not in the squad, we don't know. But at least it's some sort of positive. Some sort of positive. Tom. Best goalkeeper to buy, Verbruggen, Rolfs or Kelleher? To be honest, if you could go Rolfs and have the money for other stuff, I probably would, yeah. Probably would just pick Rolfs. Can I rank the 3.8 million defenders for Wildcard if bench boosting next week? The 3.8s. I mean, I don't even know. Who do Leeds have next week? Oh, wait, Newcastle. There aren't really any. Maybe you go Heaven at Man United and just hope that he keeps his place. Probably. Forrest Anderson, bit of a waste. A little bit. But there are weeks like last week where everyone blanks and he gets me 4. It actually feels fine. So I do agree that I think I need to get rid of Anderson at some point. Particularly the issue we've got, right, is there were a couple of weeks earlier on in the season where he got like 6, right? He got an assist, or he got 9 and 6. Like he scored, got an assist, he got 6 there. He's not taking virtually any set pieces anymore. And he's not getting anywhere near the box under Dice. I really think that Dice is hampering Elliot Anderson. And it's one of the big reasons that they are not performing well at the moment is that he is not letting Elliot Anderson do any of the attacking work for Forest. So effectively what's happening is they're playing a 4-2-3-1. But under Nuno previously, they would have Sangare or Yates or whoever it is next to Anderson, and they would do all the defending, and then Anderson would be box to box, and he would be able to help out Gibbs-White. Whereas now, what's happening is Anderson is being told to literally only do defensive work, and he's being told only to do defensive work. So he's not doing enough going forward. Gibbs-White is isolated and they're just not creating enough chances on it. And not creating enough chances. So he needs to, I don't imagine it will happen. And he's not taking any set pieces now that Hutchinson's in the team. I think, yeah, I think he's massively hampering Elliot Anderson at the moment. So while that happens, I probably need to sell him. Brad, rate your 11. Haaland, Watkins, Bowen, Rogers, Cunha, Cherky, Bruno Guimaraes, Gabriel, Tarkowski, Matez, Nunes, and Pickford. Yes, looks great, to be honest. It's probably a 8 or a 9 out of 10, if not higher. Kia, Timber to Gabriel, Rice to Rogers, Virgil van Dijk to Tarkowski, and Thiago to Calvert-Lewin would leave you no transfers and 0.3 in the bank. Don't know why you need to sell Timber to Gabriel. I'd rather just do Van Dijk to Gabriel and save one of the transfers probably. Why am I taking out Timber? I just think Gabriel outscores Timber by over the next 5-10 weeks. Just think Gabriel is the best of the Arsenal defenders. He gets DEFCON more frequently. He gets more attacking returns. He's better for bonus. I just think Gabriel is better than Timber. And with Ben White back, and actually Ben White, when he came into the team a while ago, he was playing pretty well. So I don't think Timber's not first choice, but could Timber miss one game? Yeah, potentially. Now, that might just be Champions League, though. So that's probably not a reason to do it. Keep double arse defense or sell Timber to Tarkowski. I wouldn't sell Timber to Tarkowski, no. Would I take a hit for Virgil van Dijk to Gabriel? I would consider just having Gabriel in. Like, is it worth a hit this week? No. But is it worth just having it done? Potentially. Help you out in the comments. Wilson or Rice to start? I'd probably just start Rice and hope he plays, personally. Wilson to Gordon, short term. Yeah, I think that's fine. If you want to sell Wilson and then you go to Gordon, as long as you've got transfers that you might want to sort it out eventually, yeah. Virgil van Dijk out for me next week. I might be selling him now. I've got 20 minutes to the deadline and I have to decide on if I buy Tarkowski. It would be this move. It would be Tarkowski in, and it is for a hit. And just to go back to this, right? The reason that I am considering it for a hit is not because I think it's worth a hit this week, right? It's not because I think it's worth a hit this week, but I want to do this transfer. It's a transfer you will need to make, exactly. And I'm effectively saying I'm going to buy a transfer is effectively what I'm doing. And when I try and frame it in my mind is I'm effectively saying, right, you know what? I'm going to buy a transfer here. I'm going to spend 4 points and I'm going to buy an extra transfer in the future because that is a transfer I'm going to have to use at some point. And all I effectively need is if I'm buying a transfer, I just need Tarkowski to outscore Van Dijk by something. And actually, as someone has said in the chat, Joe said in the chat, I'd actually be less inclined to do it if I only had one transfer. I'd be more inclined to roll. But effectively, I can just get it done now and not feel like I'm using up a transfer. You've got the trifecta of Rice, Keane, and O'Reilly, but bench of Anderson, King, and Gui with no transfers. I think O'Reilly will be all right. I think Anderson can cover Keane. You've just got to hope that one of Keane and Rice play with no free transfers. I wouldn't be taking hits or wildcard, to be honest. Unless you can do Keane to Tarkowski for a hit, then maybe in your position. But yeah, so I'm looking at Van Dijk to Tarkowski. It's for a hit, but it's more to try and get my team back in a state that I'm happy with it. Basically, it's more to try and get in a place that I'm happy with it. John, what's my plan for Richards, hold or swap? I'm going to hold because for some of these fixtures from like 22 onwards, I think Palace have been pretty good defensively and he rotates pretty well with Anderson, so I'll probably just hold on to him. Unless I decide to switch to a back four, in which case he might go, but he probably won't because he'll continue to just rotate well. Start Semenyo or Garner. Probably Garner, actually. Van Dijk for Tarkowski or Cunha for Rodgers. I'd probably keep Cunha. He's got Burnley next week, so probably the Van Dijk move. What about Mason Mount? The injury record just definitely puts me off, and not enough goal threat there. Yeah, they've not been keeping loads of clean sheets, but even before that, just like a 4-pointer is absolutely fine for a defender. And they haven't. You've also got to remember that Palace by game week 22 or game week 23, Palace will have, right, they've just signed Johnson. They'll have Ismail Assar back. They will have Munoz back. They will have Richards back. They'll suddenly have a much stronger looking team out of nowhere in a couple of weeks. They are playing without a lot of key players at the moment, which doesn't help them. The thing with having Richards is I start him, and if he plays, I want him. But if he misses out, it just makes the Palace defence worse. So someone like a Mark Gay looks worse when he's not there. You don't have Haaland. You're thinking of captaining Foden or Watkins. If I had to captain Foden or Watkins, to be honest, I'd probably captain Foden just because there's that doubt that Watkins definitely starts. I know, I completely get that most people will see me take a hit for Van Dijk out and think it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, is what it is now. Well, it's not is what it is. I haven't made it yet. But I completely get it. Tijan, Virgil van Dijk, Anderson, Keane, Richards in defence. Plan to swap Semenyo to Rodgers and Virgil van Dijk to Gabriel, but you're short. Should you downgrade Richards to Alderete to make it work? Also, bench either Sanchez or Dubravka. Yes, Alderete in for Richards I think's fine. I think Sunderland defensively just look great. I usually tell you not to take hits. I do, but there's normally a couple of times a season where I do it, and this might be one of them. You would hold that transfer for one more week. FPL curse Virgil van Dijk will score his bullet header this week. Maybe. But maybe. I mean, it's always the case, but it hasn't happened since I've owned him. I mean, he's just been dreadful. It's just been awful. It's been so bad. So bad. Basically, the bad decisions I've made this season have been when players have got injured. Happened when Gabriel got injured. I didn't buy a good replacement. Then Saka and Bruno, Rice and Bruno, but I can't complain. Semenyo to Saka for a hit. You already have Gabriel. No, I don't think I'd buy Saka for a hit. No, I just play. Semenyo. Virgil van Dijk, yeah, that's the plan. Right. The thing with my team, right, is it does, like, if I don't do that transfer, let's just say that's Gabriel. Weird, my mouse is going all jittery. So next week, ideally, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with Ekitike, but I mean, I could just play Richards next week if I wanted, but I don't know Richards is going to be back or not. That's the issue you've got. Whereas Tarkowski's got Wolves at home next week, so it's definitely better. The week after, I mean, he has Burnley, but I don't particularly need... And then after that, his fixtures get really bad. So it's just the Burnley fixture. I know it's a hit, though. Time to dump Ekitike. Yeah, I have considered it. Yeah, if Ekitike blanks again this game week, would I take him out for Bowen? Potentially, I would consider selling him. Yeah, I'm not sure he's worth the money. I actually messaged Ross and Oscar last night, saying I think we've made a mistake with Ekitike, but yeah. It does seem crazy. You could easily make the transfer next week for free. Then you're in a good position to roll twice. But I won't be, because game week 22, I'll probably need to do something with Cunha. I still then will have Anderson. And it's not about, I suppose it's not about rolling twice. It's about trying to roll even more than that. But I completely get the reasoning. I completely get it. And it might just be the sensible thing to not do it. But yeah. Why didn't I could have just kept Timber as well, but I wanted Gabriel. Like, I just think Gabriel is definitely the best. I know you might say it's reactionary there, but even before he got injured, these returns were so much better than any other Arsenal defender. He could easily pay it back in any week, even just with DEFCONs. And I know that I wanted it. Maybe that's what I should have done, but just done Van Dijk to Tarkowski this week and then dealt with Gabriel in the future. But then I wouldn't be able to buy him in 21. I wouldn't be buying him in 22. So the price was just going to get away from me, which I didn't really want to do. Who to start, Semenyo or Wilson? Probably Wilson over Semenyo. Should I start Minter over Cunha this week? Semenyo versus Wilson is really close. Really close. Actually, would I play... I think I'd play Semenyo over Wilson. I feel like there's an extra bonus of Semenyo going to City playing Arsenal. Should you start Minter over Cunha this week? No, I'd play Cunha. At least you know one of them's going to start. The hit basically drops me to 105k, which is still fine. I don't mind that at this point in the season. You can start Rice. He apparently travelled. I mean, I've talked myself into it. It was always the plan. Like, the videos this week have all said that was the plan. It's just whether it was worth a hit, which I don't think it is this week. But Van Dijk's hardly hitting DEFCON anymore. So even if they both concede and Van Dijk doesn't hit DEFCON and Tarkowski does, as an example, if that paid off 2 points, then I'd be fine. Like, so yeah. Yeah, Xhaka or Rice, I'd probably just play Xhaka. At least you know he's going to start. Rodgers' plan, play 2, Wilson, Keane, Heaven. And why? Play 2, Wilson, Keane, and Heaven. I'd bench Heaven, definitely. So I play Wilson and Keane. And I don't know about Rodgers. If he continues to outperform his data, then I might have to look to buy him, but we'll see. Is having Garner a good transfer? He's a very nice, cheap option at the moment, yeah. And looks like a pretty good long-term option. How confident my Rice starting? About 30%. I don't think he probably will, but he's better than Anderson, who's on my bench, so... Bench one of Wilson or Cash. Oh, I'd bench Wilson. Chaël or Mark Gay. Definitely Chaël. Keen to Tark for free. Yes, I probably just would do it and not take the risk. Hincapié to Gabriel or wait till after Liverpool. If you can do Hincapié to Gabriel, I'd get it done. The thing with Keane to Tarkowski, it not only makes your life easier this week. Let's say Keane misses out and then they've got Wolves at home next week. You're then sat here not only with the same decision a week later, but against probably the best fixture. Why is Anderson over Mukiele in the benching ranking? I just think they'll both concede, basically. But maybe it should be the other way around, to be fair. How is Tarkowski's price rises going as well? That's the other thing. Yeah, he's not going to rise tonight. Right, how long have we got? 7 minutes. Right, let me just check Twitter, see if there's any final team news or anything. Declan Rice has... So this is another report. Declan Rice has travelled with the Arsenal squad with to Bournemouth. He joined the squad on their usual pre-game walk this morning as well. Which is interesting. But it almost feels like this is so... I don't know. It kind of feels too easy that we've just suddenly got all this information. Just feels slightly too easy. But that, I mean, I'm keeping Rice and I'm going to start him based off this. So I'm going to start him, I think. I guess they all go on the walk, right? You don't think Rice will start with a swelling? If the swelling's gone, I think he'll start, but... That tweet is from Cy Phillips on Twitter for anyone else who wants to see it. Sorry, not Cy Phillips. Simon Collings on Twitter if you want to go and see the tweet for yourself. Right. Don't take a -4 for your defense now. Take it on Rice. I'm definitely not taking it on Rice because if I'd have taken it on Rice, I would have kept Timber. Yeah. Why not see if Keane is back and get him next week? He's cheaper because he'll lose his place once Branthwaite's back. I was reading quite a lot of Everton stuff and they were saying that actually long-term O'Brien and Branthwaite will be in over Keane. So O'Reilly to Tarkowski for a hit? Probably not, no. So Keane is just another issue that I don't want to... I'm going to do it. I completely understand that it's not the best transfer this week for a hit. But I just know that I feel like I'm fighting fires every week with not having any transfers. And I'm going to want to do this next week, which means I then still will only have one transfer basically until the end of January. So I'd rather just get it done. And yeah, Van Dijk's been a dreadful transfer. Yeah. Van Dijk's going to score now. Well, if you own Van Dijk and Van Dijk scores, you can always come and say thank you. Sensible thing is to roll this week as there's FA Cup and other cup games, but this is a hit, so it's not effectively rolling. I'm hoping I can roll next week. Arnab, Ruben to Gabriel, is this a good move? Yes, I would do that. Yeah, I would sell Ruben Diaz. Yeah. Yeah. Tarkowski on 4 yellow cards. The yellow cards is reset, so it doesn't matter that he's on 4 yellows now. He has to get up to 10 yellows by game week 33, which is a long, long way away. -4 from Richards to Mukiele. No, not unless you win to need the money, but I doubt that. Yeah, will Heaven start? I think so. O'Reilly to Tarkowski for a hit. No. No, I wouldn't. How long have we got? We've got 3 minutes, right? Right. And now I get to, hopefully, fingers crossed, go back to playing nice, boring, rolling transfer FPL, which I haven't been able to do for the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Yeah. It basically knocks me down to 105k, which will basically be my starting rank for the game week, which is fine. To be honest, I was lucky not to be there last week with the things that happened. So, but I play Thiago or Harry Wilson. I'd probably play Thiago. Bench 2 of Dorgu, Rice, Wilson, or Enzo. I'd probably bench Enzo and Dorgu. Start Reinders or Wilson. I'd probably play Reinders. Would I start Wilson or Rice? I probably would play Rice now. Bad -4, quite possibly this week. I just hope that it's beneficial like next week. Might be a bit better than 105k as other people have taken hits. Yeah, it's unlikely to be that significant though, I think. Right, Wilson, Garner, or Anderson. Wilson, Garner, or Anderson. Wilson, a Garner top, then Wilson, then Anderson. What is the point if you could do Van Dijk to Tarkowski for free in 2 hours? So, although I'm going to roll next week, so I could just technically do it for free, I might need to do something, like I might get an injury, and there is so many other transfers I look like I want to do over the next few weeks that I just want to put my team in a good place. I really hope Rice starts. I really hope he starts. Do I think Vert starts? Maybe not, with his hamstring issue that he's got. Rice apparently is with the squad. Doesn't mean he starts, though. Doesn't mean he starts. Should I start Mark Gay or Mukiele? I'd probably play Mukiele, I think. Start Senesi or Mukiele. Mukiele. Start Goodmanson. I probably wouldn't. I think Man United will probably score, though they've not been great recently. I think there is something to be said about United just having so many players out. -4 for Keane to Tarkowski. Probably not unless you have no bench. But there could be something beneficial just to get that transfer done and not having to worry about it. Start one of Dallo, Goodmanson, and Enzo Lafie. Probably Lafie. What else we got? O'Reilly or Enzo? I'd start O'Reilly. So Rice has been seen with the squad, so hopefully he's all right to at least be in the squad. O'Reilly we expect to be okay. Paqueta is a doubt. Richards we probably don't think will play. Keane we don't really know, but I would definitely start Keane if you've got him. And any other injuries, I think that's probably it. And we are now officially into the final minutes before the deadline. You have 1 minute to go. As always, the final minute before the deadline, we finish up answering all of our questions. I say just please go and check your teams, check your captains, check your benches, check your transfers. Give everything a little bit of a refresh to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. Captain Haaland, Vice Captain Saka, -4 taken. Completely get it's not right for my team this week, but the aim is to allow myself to roll more transfers going forward, as I'm not in that position, and I know I'll want to do other things going forward, and I will want to do that. I want to do that going forward. But that is all. That is game week 20 in the wraps. Right. A little bit of news for you all, if you want to stick around very briefly. Nothing bad, don't worry. But this afternoon, I am flying. I'm going to Australia this afternoon. Arriving there on Monday morning. The content will still be the same while I'm away. There just might not be there's a couple of things. First of all, the transfer plans will probably be tomorrow morning. And the deadline stream on Tuesday is at like 5 o'clock in the morning in Australia. Now, you're probably thinking, Harry, you'll be mental to stream at 5 o'clock in the morning. But the only thing is, I'll be so jet lagged that I might just be awake. So I'm not confirming either way. If there'll be a stream or not for Game Week 21. I will see how tired I am. And then it's a week and a half off until Game Week 22. So everything will be as normal. Basically, the only thing that will be impacted is transfer plans will probably be tomorrow morning, and I'll record that this afternoon. And then the deadline stream. There'll be the usual complete guide. It will be Tuesday morning. So those will be the two videos this week. So also, if you have any interest in following that, then I have started a new Instagram account to sort of just share more sort of live stuff that I know some people like and some people don't. But I will post that in the comment section now. Yeah, it's like a 24-hour flight. If you have any interest in following that Instagram, I will post it there for you, and I'll post like stuff of my trip, but also it's just more sort of general life stuff over the next couple of weeks, but over the next year there is lots happening. So if you have any desire to follow that, then please do. Yeah, I also need to roll as well. No, that wasn't why I decided to take the hit. I am going to watch the cricket, yes, partly. Going to Sydney to watch the Sydney Test. I then have... Holly has family who live there. We've got friends who are out there at the moment and family who are also out there, so we're going to see them. It is an absolute bucket list trip for both of us. And... yeah, we're not going to have very many opportunities very soon, probably to do big trips like that. So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm very excited. But just so you're aware of what the content will look like over the next for Game Week 21, it might look slightly different. But yeah. Decent 5k pace. Well, I'm about to go for another run. Oh, no. That is not why. Yeah, no. There is no kid on the way. No. But yeah, just we don't take like big trips like that all the time, and we've got quite a lot planned over the next year, and you never know where life will take you. But yeah, so we are off to... I am not. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'll be at for the next 2 weeks. Follow on Instagram if you want to stick along. If not, we'll be here. We'll be here for the future game weeks, I'm sure. Anyway, I am going to wrap it up there, as you'll be very surprised to hear. I actually am not, like, ideally, yeah, like, no baby on the way, but yeah, no. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Have a lovely stream. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. I will see you all probably tomorrow morning for a video, and then Tuesday morning, and then maybe the stream. But yeah, good luck, everyone. Have a lovely weekend, and I will catch you all very soon. I pressed the wrong buttons. Maybe one day. Oh, hello. 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 Bye again.